ways you can hire me is to do a full editorial assessment. So that is, I'm reading your manuscript 2 times. I'm reading it once as a reader and then the second time as an editor. And this is where I provide full feedback on your manuscript about the structure of it, things that could be improved, your strengths, like what to double down on. And I usually give like a 5 to 10 page document detailing all that with steps on how you can rewrite certain areas, maybe things to cut out completely, and then with next steps of what you should do after improving your manuscript after the assessment. If you need a developmental editor or just a copy editor maybe, or maybe even just a proofread, who knows if you're lucky. So this is what that looks like. So this was an assessment on a fantasy manuscript. And I always say, I'm like, thank you for trusting me with this. And I give kind of a big picture overview of what I think about the manuscript as a publishing professional and a reader. So here I did a little bit of market positioning, the promise, the audience, different comp titles that you could compare your book to, which comp titles are other titles in the industry that were published recently that a salesperson could be like, oh, this is like that book, so it might sell just as well as that book. Then I dive into the developmental strengths, especially in fantasy. World building is a huge thing to take into consideration. Talk about what's working, what he should double down on. And then I talk about some opportunities where the manuscript could be stronger. So here, for example, the structure and pacing. We're talking about the current feel of it, and then we're talking about what the goal is that the author wants that we discussed. So here I suggest, kind of how to clarify the different acts and the different action scenes that he can take into consideration, that he can take it or leave it. I talk about point of view and have suggestions for that. Same with the character arcs for each character here. And also some of the language and readability, because especially in fantasy, sometimes people invent languages, they invent everything, right? So I am looking at that as a reader and I say if something might be confusing, maybe something they could clarify, new terms, even having a glossary in the front. I love when fantasy books have a glossary in the front of all the terms that they invented and the characters. I think that really lays out a foundation for the reader, because they might not look at it, in the beginning when they start, but as I start reading, I always refer back to that. So this is something you can expect to get. And this one is 10 pages long. So, I have like the non-English words here. So and this one was, connecting fantasy, but also a lot of different cultures. So we were talking about that. So here I have a focused revision plan with 12 steps for him to follow. These include locking in the acts, choose point of view filters, doing a language sweep to make things consistent, a glossary rebuild, a cultural sensitivity pass, which I should do a video about that, and just, all these steps. And then he can take those and do those himself to the best of his ability. And that will save him money in the long run on hiring a developmental editor, because after that, he could either resubmit it to me for another assessment and I could say, look, you're gonna save thousands of dollars. You won't have to get a developmental edit. You can go straight to a copy edit now because you did this assessment and took that advice.